This episode of Baby, This is Keke Palmer is sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Now let's get this show on the road. Thank you so much, Mr. Perry. I think about it all the time when I was on
Mr. Perry, this is Mr. Perry. You don't know how to live at this level. So God bless you. Stay there, and I'll do what I can for you on that level. But don't try to come up here and kill me because you are not able to handle this. If you let somebody talk you out of a place that God has put you in, you are going to find yourself in hell.
Ooh.
Are you going to do it as Angela Bassett?
I absolutely will do it as Angela Bassett for you. Mom, you know how excited I am to be talking to Mr. Perry. Obviously, I know him personally, but still, just to have him on the show and to get into it with him, and just it gets to the point with someone like Tyler where there's so much stuff going in my mind, and there's so many things I want to ask. I don't even know where to start. I literally go kaput. And he's a Virgo just like me and you.
Exactly. So that means he's super detailed and very, focused on the things that he's trying to accomplish. That's for sure. Yeah.
It's so true. And also just the fact that Tyler is somebody I think that has really showed us what ownership can look like in this industry. You know, not even just from how he started out with his plays, but how when he got into the film industry, he maintained his intellectual property, like his IP. Madea is his character, and that's been a testament for me with all of my characters, with Lady Miss Jacqueline and Chelsea Barbie Taylor and the whole Turned Up with the Taylor's family. Like all of those things, I was able to use him as just a proof of what I could do. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen elements of that in music, but I think for me, he's one of the greatest people that has ever been able to maintain that in film and TV, and then getting his own studio so he can actually create his own stuff. I mean, it's insane what he's been able to do.
Yeah. It starts a long time out. Everybody always thinks, people have overnight success and, where did this person come from? But I saw Tyler's biography. I saw his biography on his life story, and he actually started creating characters and, just forming his own world as a kid. When he said things were going bad, he would run and he would hide up under the porch, and he would just listen to all the neighborhood conversations and everything. And he was creating his plays in his mind as a kid. You know what I mean? He was formulating. God was giving him the foundation of what could be, even as a kid in his most trying times, and for him to have been able to stick to the course. See, like I believe, I'm not a religious fanatic, but I do believe in God, and I do believe in divine things that come your way. And I think that often a lot of us push it away, They get the message, they know what they should be doing, but they push it away because maybe they're afraid or they're frightened or it isn't what they think they should be doing. But those of us who get divine messages from God and we stay par for the course, I think this is what happens. You're blessed. You're blessed.
I couldn't agree with you more because that's how I feel. I feel like, obviously growing up in the church, growing up, always feeling just like I had something inside of me that told me that I could do things. I remember there would be moments when I was a kid where I would have a negative thought or something, it would be something inside that said, no, that's not me. That's not what it is. Right. And I always had this just inner feeling, this thing inside that made me push forward. It's like my sense of purpose, and it's still my compass and my sense of direction that I always just feel like I know where I should go. And even when I get nervous, I just still trust that thing. And it has never led me wrong. Even when I've had hard or difficult experiences, it's always led me to where I'm supposed to go. And Tyler Perry also speaks a lot about that as well. Just that divine inner knowing that gives you that sense of direction that you can't turn away from. You've got to lean into it.
Absolutely. And far as being an entrepreneur and stuff, it's like you just have to invest in yourself. My mother was a hairstylist, and she would tell me, you have to invest in your trade. So I remember going shopping with her, and she would buy new curlers and new blow dryers, and she'd be standing, and she didn't have a lot of money, and she'd be standing in line, and she'd be adding it up. She's like, okay, this is over $300. And then she'd look at me and go, Well, you got to invest in your trade. You know, she was talking to herself, telling herself it was okay for her to spend that $300 on new supplies because she was investing in her trade. And I think that's the same thing with what you do, with what Tyler do, Issa Rae, all of you guys. You invest in your trade, and that's what you do. And you invest in yourself, and you're not afraid to, try things. And also, like with Ice Cube and Queen Latifah, the thing that I see with them is they just keep putting out projects. They keep doing movies. If this movie doesn't do well, okay, whatever. I did my thing. Let me do another one. And next thing you know, they have the #1 movie in the country, and you're like, wow, they just keep at it. They don't stop.
And I think it's so interesting, like you said, with entrepreneur, I feel like there's this really overbearing vibe that comes with that word, where it just feels very like, oh, entrepreneur, it feels like, you got to be the CEO and the CMO and have a da da da. But when I hear entrepreneur, I literally just think of somebody that is investing in their purpose, aka their trade, their profession, their career, the whatever. Like for me, it's entertainment, but through that, I might do hosting, I might do acting, I might do music, I might do this, I might do that. It all falls under the umbrella of entertainment because that's my interest. But it can spew out and express itself in different ways. And so for me, entrepreneurship is a way of having personal autonomy in corporatism, right? So it doesn't matter if you're an actor or if you're a doctor or if you are a dentist. There's so many different ways that you can help people with their teeth than just being in the office. You can also help people with their teeth by being an influencer and showing them how to do things, or having a particular brand of toothpaste, and that's now your other side thing. And so I feel like in the day and age that we're in now, seeing yourself as the business and all these other avenues as a way for you to express that business or share that business or to share that knowledge, or like you said, invest in that trade, is the way things, gotta go. Otherwise, you're gonna be finding yourself kind of in this spin wheel and feeling very, I think, a lot of times crunched, you know what I mean, in one particular space, and not being able to spread your wings and also be inspired in these other spaces that still revolve around what it is you like to do, but just allow you the opportunity to grow a little bit beyond that.
Right. And what changed for you? I'm because obviously you came up in the industry, you started at 9, 10 years old, and it was very traditional. It was, you have to have a publicist. There was no digital marketing at all. Maybe I think MySpace was bubbling or whatever. YouTube was bubbling. But no entertainer was really relying on digital media. And then you came up, working with the Angela Bassett's and the Lawrence Fishburnes and the people that traditional, William H. Macy. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of your career, like 16, 17, 18, it switched and everything became digital. How did you deal with that?
Well, it was really, I don't want to say it was spooky because I don't really think that I thought at that time that it was directly connection to my career. Like, influencers was not a word or anything like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like people were online and having fun, and it was like a thing to do as just a teenager, as a young millennial. We was just all online because that's where we all were. And before then, it was like MySpace and everything like that. But Twitter and Instagram took things to a different level. Yeah. And initially, I was just trying to have fun and create. It was just an expression of my personality in a different format. But as time went on, and like I said, I had to rebuild my career through digital, I was able to maintain my own fan base. So when I did go back and work for some of these companies, when I did work for Nickelodeon again or Viacom, when I did work with, Disney again and hosted Foodtastic, my positioning was a lot different than it was before because I wasn't just focused on that company and what they wanted from me. I was focused on me and the business of Keke Palmer. And so when I did come back and collaborate with them, I had a lot more power in my hands. And I think that's what we all are trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it is in every other industry, but I know how it is trying to be seen in companies that have a certain idea of what they want their company to be represented by, and it's not you.
Right.
And then you have to figure out how to bring value to yourself in business.
Right.
And that only comes from personal investment.
Right. And I just have to, as a mother, applaud you because I've never once ever seen you upset or mad or disappointed at the way the world works or the way
Because it's
the
business.
industry works. Yeah.
It's business, though. You've always told me that it's business. It's business. I'm not going to change the business. That doesn't mean that I agree with all the ways that it works. You can't change everything. You can only change yourself and how you deal with it. And for me, that's not just putting all my eggs in one basket. That's me having ownership over my voice, what I want to represent, what my creative ideas are, my thoughts are, what the vision I have for myself and how I see I can be of an asset. And then going to partners and collaborating with people that can help me along in that mission. That's to me, that's the level of autonomy that I think we all have to have in this day and age, because just putting all your eggs in one company or one thing, it's not enough.
What have you learned from the Tyler Perrys, the Ron Howards, and what he was able to do with his partner, Brian Glazier? And what have you learned from all of those people?
You got to be willing to wear different hats. You got to be willing to wear different hats and get into different positions. You know what I'm saying? You can't, there is no ego in business. You can't have it. I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Like when I came from the traditional scene to the digital world, a lot of people thought digital at that time was a joke.
Yeah.
They were like, why would a traditional talent be doing anything on digital?
Yeah.
And even now today, I see people that do digital that think, well, I don't want to touch digital anymore because I'm trying to be traditional. All of that is for the birds. You have to go to the formats and work in the spaces that make sense. I mean, if somebody gave me a desk job that I thought was appropriate, I would take that. I remember when Nick Cannon told me, I'm now the head of development for MTV, of their television shows. I was thinking to myself, well, aren't you in front of the camera? And then I realized, oh my gosh, he's an entrepreneur.
That's right.
Nick Cannon has been the head of development at MTV. He has hosted Wildin' Out, had his own shows. He's the host of The Masked Singer. Yeah. He has a record label. He's produced and been a manager and had management companies for artists such as Kehlani. I mean, you don't even know half of the jobs that Nick Cannon has had.
He produced Rags with you. There you go.
You go what I mean? And so I being around that, seeing people do that kind of thing, it just made me realize, like, it's just about the business is me. I'm the business. And whatever I'm interested in, I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I think about Niecy Nash. You know, a lot of companies, they won't let you moonlight, right? You know what it means? Like, if you're working for us, you can only work for us.
Right.
Well, let me tell you how Niecy Nash did it. And you did it with me as well. I'm one of the only talents that has worked with Disney and Nickelodeon simultaneously. But Niecy Nash would be on 5 shows on several different networks at one time. You know what I'm saying? That's like being a therapist having 5 different practices. You get what I mean? Like, you know, that's not what's supposed to happen, because the companies like to trade talent between. Like, they like to be competitive. Like, if I got Angela Bassett, then you got Regina King.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how they like to do. Yeah. They want to be able to make everything be competitive. Right. So never are they going to share talent. But when you're somebody that is able to be as unique and showcase your talent in such the way like somebody like Niecy Nash has, Niecy Nash would be on multiple shows at once. And I said, that's what this is about.
Exactly.
That's what you got to do. Is you got to make the business work for you, not you just working for the business.
No, you're right. Yeah. And even with Niecy, I'll throw in Nene Leakes. You know, she's on Broadway. She had a hot reality show. She was modeling. She was doing everything. I was like, you go, Nene.
And that's how it should be. You know, it's almost like retire the multi-hyphenate thing. Just call everybody an entrepreneur. You know, everybody is just in the business of owning their own voice and owning their own brand. You are brand. You know what I'm saying? And everything else is an assistance to that brand. That's how we have to think.
Right.
Well, I got to get to Tyler because I know he has so much to tell us. Oh, so I'll holler at you later, Mom.
All righty. Bye-bye. Tell Tyler, hey.
I will. Unless you're checking under the hood or changing your own oil, you may not feel like a car person. But the truth is, everyone can be a car person. You just need to unlock the love of driving. We talk on our show a lot about purpose, about finding your why, you know, the thing that lights you up inside. And when it comes to a love of cars, my why was the independence it offered me. I mean, there's nothing like the feeling of driving down the road by yourself. I mean, windows down, alone with your thoughts, and a good playlist. And sometimes discovering the love of driving just takes the right car to unlock it. It takes a BMW. I mean, these cars are so special. They're just gorgeous. And if you've ever been behind the wheel of a BMW, you know what I'm talking about. You can just feel the high performance of this vehicle and the precise handling that gives driving a whole new feeling. It's such a thrill. I'm also partial to the assisted parking that allows you to enjoy the drive without stressing when you make it to your destination and you got to squeeze into a really tight parking space. Whatever you're looking for, unlock your love of driving with BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Baby, this is Keke.
Guys, today's guest is one of the most prolific filmmakers of the past 2 decades. Of course, you know him as Madea in films like Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Madea's Family Reunion. You might have seen his TV shows like The Have and Have-Nots or The Oval. His new film, Divorce in Black, just dropped on Amazon Prime July 11th. Tyler Perry, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here. I mean, you know and the world knows you're my favorite. I just love everything about you, and the fact that you're a Virgo just takes it over the top.
Yeah, Virgo season coming up real soon, real soon.
Okay.
You know what? I'm so proud of you. I think about how old were you on Madea's Family Reunion?
I was 11 years old.
11 years old. Wow. And to see you come this far and have your head on straight and be clear about life, be clear-eyed about what you're doing and who you are. I'm just so proud of you. So proud of you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Mr. Perry. I think about it all the time when
Mr. Perry.
I was on
Mr. Perry. This is
Madea.
Mr. Perry.
I know,
Thank
right?
you,
In
Mr.
my mind,
Perry.
I go back and forth because I'm like, Tyler, but then I'm like, no, he's also Mr.
Yeah.
Perry because there's so much respect there. So I always go back and forth. But, you know, when I was on the set of Madea Family Reunion, that was the first time that I'd ever seen someone play so many different roles. Usually when
Yeah.
I was on a set with a director, they were just the director. You know, if I was there with the writer, the writer would say hi and he would just move on. Or the
Yeah.
actor would just be in the scenes. But you were all of them. And then you're also producing everyone else. And I remember being blown away like, man, how is this guy able to do this? You would go from Madea, hello, to, so look, I'm gonna need y'all to turn around and move the camera this way.
In costume. In costume.
Costume. And I think that's where my love affair for you began because there was just so much power in having that ability to lead everyone and still have so much love and grace because the whole set was like a family. I always tell people that's why I fell in love with Atlanta was my experience on Madea's Family Reunion on a Tyler Perry set because everybody felt like my aunties and uncles and cousins and just family and friends. So that was
That's
a great
awesome.
experience. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you know, it's to this day, it's still like that at the studio. It's very much, it feels like family. Everybody looks out for each other. Everybody galvanizes around each other to support each other. It's a wonderful place to go to work every day. And that's the only reason I'm still grinding so hard is because I'm looking at all these folks coming through the gates, for young folks who had never had an opportunity in this business. And I'm watching them blow up. I'm watching them do amazing things. So I'm proud to be holding this space and I'm proud to have worked with you so early on.
Oh my gosh, and it's so true. Like, you know, from myself to thinking about Lance Gross, China Ann McClain, you know, Tessa Thompson and For Colored Girls. The list goes on of people that you've introduced us to that have continued to go on and do great things. So I couldn't agree more that the energy you create there is what allows for that. And I want to talk to you a lot about that today, just your entrepreneurship and the groundwork that you've built for this sense of community that's allowed other people to grow. But I, of course, have to stop and talk first about your film Divorce in Black that just came out. And that's exciting, right? Because Megan Good, she's my girl. But then she got reunited with Debbie Morgan as her mother in this film, which I think is amazing because they did Eve's Bayou. And that was the first time that I'd seen her and Journey. And I was introduced to Debbie Morgan, who my parents told me so much about. So I want to talk for a second about Divorce in Black and how that came to you.
You know, I heard this voice of this character kept talking to me as I started writing things down, and it was Ava. That's how I write. Characters would show up, and she kept telling me she's not a victim. She loved this man. She loved this man. And I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and she called me up late one night, and she was just telling me how much she loved the man that she was with, and how hurt she felt. And I was explaining to her, you can be hurt by what happened, but don't be hurt because you loved him. You weren't a fool. You loved. And when you love somebody purely, love someone from your heart, and you're pure in that love, no matter which way it goes, never feel bad about the love that you gave, because that's real. That'll find its way back into your life. So as I was exploring all of that and started writing, I wanted to make sure that Ava wasn't a victim, that Megan Good's character was strong, but also I wanted her to represent a lot of people, women, men, whoever, who try to love somebody out of a place of pain that they're in without having all the tools to get them out of that space.
Yes.
Nope. I saw the look on your face. Yeah, what you trying to, you went deep right there with that thought. Yeah.
And I mean, I feel that way about so many of your films where they have this vibe of being fun, lighthearted, and thriller, but then when you get down to it, the message is actually going to hit home. But to you, Mr. Perry, what do you say to that? You know, when you are in that situation where you're seeing people in your life, and I'm sure being as successful as you are, you have friends, loved ones that you just can't seem to get them out of their own way. What do you then do with those feelings? You just let them go?
Yeah, listen to me. I had to learn to choose myself, because there are people in moments that if you keep trying to drag them up to higher altitudes where they can't breathe, they will die. Yeah. Some people have only been equipped in their life with their life lessons or what they've learned to go to a certain level. That's it. And I have been guilty so many times of trying to pull some, you can do it, come on up, come on up. And it's usually the very people that you invest the most in, that you try and help the most, will be the same ones who turn around and try to destroy you because they feel like the jealousy, or you went to a place way further than they ever thought you should go. So what I've learned in this is I have gotten to a place in my life at 54 years old where I look at people and go, okay, tell me who you are, and I'm going to believe you. Show me. I'm going to believe you. I'm not going to argue with you. I can't pull you up here if you don't know how to handle this altitude. So stay where you are. You're not a bad person. Yeah. You're not wrong, but you don't know how to live up here. You don't know how to live at this level. So God bless you. Stay there, and I'll do what I can for you on that level. But don't try to come up here and kill me because you are not able to handle this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I received that. I remember seeing you say something similar to that about this altitude, and it's a great metaphor because it's also true. Yeah. Look, if you're going to die up here, then I should leave you behind, because it's better for you to figure out what's going on that playing field before you come up somewhere where you can't survive. You know, you were saying, if, you know, a lot of people may not have expected me to end up where I am. Well, you started out in the Chitlin Circuit. What was your mind then? You know, were you always seeing yourself as someone that could get into film and things like that? Or were you just a creative that wanted to just get your work out there?
I had one goal. I need to make money to take care of my mother because she was ill. I wanted to retire her. She was working with a bunch of kids, and, you know, kids are little petri dishes for germs. And so she was always constantly sick, and she had diabetes. So all my entire focus was to let me just make enough money to take care of her. And I had been through being homeless and in poverty all my life. So when I got a little bit of money, I was like, okay, nothing seemed to be enough. No amount of money was enough to take care of my mother. Nothing would make me comfortable. And I found myself being in this place where I was uncomfortable all of my adult life while she was alive, because no matter how much I had, it wasn't enough. So that's where it started. That's where the grind started. The working so hard started. It was all about, can I take care of her? And what I can say about my audience, if they never did anything else for me, they allowed me to take care of her to the day she died and give her a life that she never imagined. That, for me, that's all I need to be grateful forever, right? But yeah, starting out in the stage shows, I didn't go into Hollywood. I didn't come in through that system, so I didn't have the stamp or the carving that system will give you. It'll carve you into a hole, into a box, and you have to operate in that box. Well, I was malleable and loose, so I didn't come in through that, so I could do things outside of the box. And I think that's put me in this position. So I'm grateful for not coming through Hollywood.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So when you did go into Hollywood, I think the first thing you did was Diary of a Mad Black Woman, one of your plays. Why did you choose that one to be your first feature film?
Because I knew it would hit. I knew, I got to Hollywood and the white folks and them white folks at their desk were like, what is this? We're not going to do this. But I knew I had all them black folks who had seen it all over the country. And I knew what that meant for them to stand with me. So when it opened at #1, everybody in town was scratching their head. I'll never forget, it was Oscar weekend. Everybody was scratching their head like, where is this movie? Who is this Tyler Perry person? So it was because of all those people that I was able to do that. And still to this day, continue.
And it's so amazing when I think about it because I remember before I even became an entertainer, I started doing performing when I was about 9 years old. But Madea, and Tyler Perry had existed before then. So I remember
In
being
Chicago?
in Chicago. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
going to my uncle's and aunt's house and they're like, have y'all seen the new Tyler Perry play? And they'll put it on and we're watching it. And it was just insane. And I actually used the model that you had of your work already existing and being big and you having that kind of proof, that data, and being able to empower yourself in the film industry. I used a lot of that when I had to revamp my career, from being a child entertainer and reaching this moment where everybody was kind of like, okay, you've grown up. This is what we see for you. If you're not going to fit into this box, then that's that. So I turned to digital. It wasn't necessarily stage shows, but I chose digital as a way to produce my own work and kind of set the stage for who I wanted to be. And if you want to get a part of that, then you can, because look, I have this audience and they're rocking with me. So either jump on board or not. And something I wanted to point out as well was when you started working with Lionsgate, I read that you had a deal that they would co-produce and distribute the films, but you would retain all copyright ownership. And
That's everything.
Oh my gosh, I think that is such an important thing when we're having this conversation about ownership and entrepreneurship and what intellectual property means to the creator. How did you know to do that? And how hard did you have to fight for it?
It wasn't a fight for me because it was a non-negotiable. I was not going to negotiate with anybody about that. And because I had that audience that had been with me, who had made me pretty wealthy going into Hollywood, I didn't need them. I was selling DVDs from my website at the time, and they were bootlegged everywhere. But then people were finding them. But I wasn't to give up ownership as a non-negotiable, because what happens is I know what that does for your future and for your power. And for what it's the difference in waiting for somebody to give you a job or knowing that a check is going to be in the mailbox whether you have a job or not. So I wanted to build this legacy and for my son and my future, even though I didn't know he was coming at the time, but also watching Oprah own her show. It was that example that are like, oh, well, what does that mean? She owns her show. Wait, that's what that means? So even from the beginning, when I was doing the stage shows, like my name had to be on the marquee and my name had to be on the tickets, and the promoters would get mad. Who's this kid think he is? Why are you putting it? I was building a brand. I knew that in order to build that, people have to remember the name. In order for you to stand out, you've got to have something that they remember. It's all started from my father, who worked for a white man building houses. I say white man for a reason. Worked for a white man building houses, and he was a subcontractor. So on the weekend, he'd get his $800, and he'd be so happy he got paid. But I watched the white guy sell the house for $80,000. I'm like, why won't you take the money and build your own house and sell it? Him and my mother, coming from a Jim Crow South, they didn't think that. They would tell me that kind of thing is for white folks. They can't do it. But everything in me was going, that's not true. I can own the house too. So that's what this is about, owning the house and building it from that point of view.
How did you tap into knowing that, right? Because we can hear these things and we can feel these ways, but the action that you put behind it and the follow through is what makes the difference. Was this the people that you surrounded yourself with? Were you reading? What was that made you know that those were the steps you had to take?
All I can tell you, for me, I have a divine leading grace on my life that I call the grace of God, that I just follow. If it doesn't feel right, I don't do it. I say, that doesn't feel right. Let me go this direction. And I've had agents in Hollywood be really upset with me because I wouldn't do this. Do you know how much money? That's not what I want to do. That doesn't feel right. I'm going to go this way. Tyler, and they would always tell me, that's not going to work. Like with House of Pain, when I went to do the episodes, they said, only do one and pilot will shop it around. It's like, no, I feel like I need to do 10. I'm going to do 10. So I did these first 10. They sat in a can for ever, and nobody wanted them. And then UPN and WB and one of them, they became the CW. There was a merger.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All the affiliates were without programming. So they started calling around, what do you have? Somebody said, this guy in Atlanta's got these 10 episodes. They put it on, the ratings were higher than what was there before. So it was like being prepared, right? So I have constantly in prayer, I want to be prepared for what's coming next. What is the next moment that's coming? I want to be clear about it. Like when I built my first studio, by the time I got to this one I'm in now, when I saw it, I thought if I had seen it first, I would be like, this is too much land. But I learned to build for where I was going and not where I was. So all of these things happened in progress as I was growing and working and paying attention to everything. to everything.
What are you doing in those in-between times when you're making these kinds of leaps? Because they are leaps of faith. Like you said, you're creating for where you're going, but you have to have the faith that you're going there. What are you thinking in the in-between time that's helping you maintain when things get, weary?
Well, listen, I was homeless and out on the street, and nothing for me was darker than that period except growing up in my father's house. So I know how to do that. I know how to figure out what to eat, and I know how to be poor. The challenge wasn't that I didn't know how to do that. I didn't have an option or a choice. So the option of the choice was, how do I go higher? How do I have more? How do I embrace that? How do I embody what God has for me? And also the understanding of getting too worthy. We as a people
Getting to worthy.
struggle with being worthy. And I'm telling you, sitting in this seat and having all kinds of friends who have been wealthy since they were kids, and the level of they are supposed to have it, the level of I deserve it, it was powerful to see, because then I see Black people going, oh, no, that's too much. I don't know. No. What happened to this mentality? You're here. You're alive. Why not? If they can, we can too. So that's what I want people to get and understand fully, is just open yourself up to being worthy of it. I'm worthy of this. I should have good things. I should have good health. My kids should be able to do well. I shouldn't be struggling waiting for the next check. We have a pathology as Black people of, well, we're only going to get money when the money is gone, which means that you work 2 weeks, you got to spend all that before more money comes.
Yeah.
We got to get past all of that so we can get to a place where I can have more than enough. I deserve more than enough. Our ancestors already paid for everything we have, and we're not taking advantage of it. And there's nothing more frustrating, especially like I love seeing you hustle, your grind. But when I'm seeing people your age and younger looking at folks on Instagram thinking that's how my life should be, and they don't want to put the work in or the time, like, no, because what you're seeing ain't really real.
No, it's not
So
real.
I want people to really fully get it. I have people that I've worked with, and I'm like, I know what they're making. And I'm looking at them on private jets and traveling the world. I'm going, who paying for this jet?
Okay. I've seen it myself too.
Yeah. Who paying for this jet? Who paying for this jet?
And I think it's important what you said about the working hard, because you also worn so many hats. You kind of write everything. You don't even have a writer's room. When you're juggling all these different hats, I mean, what time do you feel when to push back and to let someone else come in and help you and assist?
Over the last 2 years now, I brought in writers' rooms, and we've had them on the sitcoms, but now I brought them in on the other shows. I've trained enough young directors to be able to understand how to edit and shoot, so they're able to do a huge page count like I can. I've trained them how to watch for waste and time. So now I'm at a place in my life where I'm going, okay, I've got it. I've set that up. They're doing great. I can let them take it. I'm completely fine with stepping back. All of these shows are over 100 episodes. So the characters are developed. I've written all of that. You guys take it and run with it. So I'm at a really good place now. But it's very important to know when to let go. Like for me, I realized at this age is that if I keep holding on to the little things, then it's missing the huge opportunities that I should be focusing on. So you've got to find the right people to take up the banner and run with those areas.
And I love how you're talking about the system that you've created with TP Studios of just being able to train people in your way, because you have a particular way. When I see something that, Tyler Perry presents, I know what I'm going to get as a fan that has been a fan for all of these decades. When it comes to your craft and your style, how much of that, your choice to own, was to also be able to control your creativity with the projects and not allow other people to take it? Yeah.
Well, that's ownership for me. It's everything, the creativity of it, what's put on screen, how it goes, and so on and so forth. And early on, I was taking a lot of heat because, this was wrong and that was wrong, but people didn't understand that I didn't have the budgets that everybody else had. And what is important about that, hear me clearly because when I would do a show, the first thing I do is go buy a camera, go buy a light, go buy this. We're renting, how much did we spend renting this stuff? Buy it. So I started buying all of this stuff and buying all these equipment. So now when I'm doing a movie, I'm renting it to myself for the movies.
Tyler, I think it's so important that you're saying what you're saying, because I think this is also why a lot of people never get their projects off the ground, because they're expecting everything to be perfect and they're not understanding that ownership and doing it on your own and having the independence of starting and finishing something, whether it's perfect or not, it's going to guide you to get to that next level and to continue to perfect it over time. But when you are owning it and when you are having it, it is yours. So yes, it's pivotal. It's a key piece here to say, yeah, okay, maybe this was off, maybe that was that, but I own it. And me being able to do all that stuff is what allowed me to be
Yeah.
able to invest in this big studio. If I was trying to just go all over here and there and doing more than what I could maintain myself, then I would not be
Yeah.
able to be where I'm at now. I'm so happy you said that.
Listen, I've seen some incredibly brilliant, amazing films. I've seen some young writers and directors do some stuff. I go, wow. And I've seen it make crazy amounts of money. But then I look at what they made and I go, oh, it crushes me. Because my thought is, why not write something this brilliant but smaller and get your budget, own it, and then license it to the bigger companies and make that money, and it lives forever coming back to you. Don't just go in and sell your soul because they think, oh, this is how it is. No, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
It's not how it goes. Yeah.
And don't think that you have to start already having it all together. I think that's an important thing. Just start with what you have.
Do the best with what you have. Do the absolute best you can with what you have. Take the heat, take the hits, and keep getting better and better and better and better. And the great thing about my audience, man, is that they have been with me from day one going, Tyler, you need to fix this. Tyler, that was good. Tyler, we love that. Oh, he getting better now. Y'all watch him, So I love it, man. I love it.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Imagine this. It's Sunday morning. There are piles of laundry that need to be put away and dust bunnies that need to be swept. You have a full day of adulting in front of you, and all you want is to be transported away. Begrudgingly, you pick up a broom and ready yourself to start sweeping. But wait, you're forgetting the most important part. You open up the Audible app, and suddenly, the universe is infinite. The power to transport yourself to another world where laundry and dust bunnies don't matter as in the palm of your hands. Through storytelling, Audible can take you from the comfort of your living room to the streets of South Central LA with Snoop Dogg forming Death Row Records in a matter of seconds by tuning in to the Audible original From the Streets to the Suites. Written and read by none other than friend to the show, Snoop D-O-double-G. Y'all know I have been an Audible girly for years at this point, and they're going to have to send someone if they ever want me to give up my Audible originals. I mean, just knowing that at any given moment I have the world's biggest audiobook selection in my pocket fills me with so much joy. As a lifelong storyteller and listener, I understand the comfort and exhilaration of a well-produced story, and Audible has them in spades. And not just any old regular story either. No, Audible is here to take audio storytelling to the next level, creating unrivaled listening experiences and innovative original content that you can take with you anywhere. While traveling, working out, walking a dog, doing chores, you decide. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Plus, you can choose one bestseller or new release to keep forever. That's right. There's more to imagine when you listen. Try Audible today at audible.com/Keke. That's audible.com/Keke. Upon reflection of my many years of vacationing and hot girl antics, I've noticed I've always had great experiences with Airbnb. I mean, so much so that I've actually celebrated several birthdays in some of Airbnb's most loved guest favorite homes. And it makes sense because with Airbnb, I can be my own travel agent and find a spot that matches the celebration vibes I'm in the mood for. Like lounging by the pool and kikiing with the girls and maybe some time for a little turn up. Airbnb has got options for all of that. Take my 27th birthday, for example. I spent it in Orlando with 4 of my closest friends, and we stayed in what can only be described as an MTV Cribs-worthy house. Okay, I'm talking fabulous decor, lavish finishes, the work. I mean, the best part is that I got to share this gorgeous little private hideaway with my best Judies. Okay, we stayed up all night, talking mess, eating good food, and frolicking in the pool. No stress, no looky-loos, just a beautiful birthday in a stunning location with the people I love most. And guess what? I did it again on my 30th birthday. But this time, we got a bigger, even more private crib and really leaned into the tranquil nature of it all. We had masseuses come in, and the jacuzzi was bubbling all night long. We were getting pampered and polished, okay? Thanks to all these magical experiences, I know that I can trust Airbnb to deliver during the moments that matter the most, like the ones spent with friends and family. Now, go book yourself an Airbnb and see how right I was. Holla at your girl. So clearly you're a prolific artist, but you're also a philanthropist, okay? In 2009, you made the largest ever individual donation to the NAACP. And in 2010, you donated $1 million to aid recovery efforts for the earthquake in Haiti. In 2017, you pledged $1 million to support victims of Hurricane Harvey. During the pandemic, you left a $21,000 tip at a restaurant in Atlanta. I mean, do you consider yourself more of an artist or more of a philanthropist, or is it all tied into one? Like, how do you view that?
I'm Maxine's baby when it comes to giving. My mother, her heart was like that. Like and you know, the most beautiful thing is my son is the same way. He gives, if he has something, I see him giving it to people, and it's beautiful, but it's also heartbreaking in the sense of I know what it feels like to give and give and give, and then have people not appreciate it or have it taken advantage of. So I worry about that for him because I know what he's going to face. But my mother's heart was very much, you know, she wouldn't give you money. She would not give you any money. But if you needed food or shelter, like I would wake up in the morning on Saturday and step out of the bed, somebody would be sleeping on the floor. I'm like, who is that? She's like, shh, they needed a place to stay, right? So that's what she gave me. So when I hear a story and I see somebody in need, and some people might be like, oh, babe, I'm going to pray for you. I'm like, no, I can pray, but I can help you too. But I have to be led to do it. Like, I don't just do it randomly. It has to be something that finds me and I really pay attention to it and I want to get involved.
You know, Tyler, you have a unique style in your films where I will never forget the scene in Madea's film reunion with Lynn Whitfield, and they're in that bathtub, and you're gonna tell her. And they're talking about this deep nuance. You know, I think with your films, it was the opportunity of not just the celebratory, but also the dark underbeddings of things that we would never speak about. But then there's also this commerciality to it where it's also for everyone. When you're creating this stuff where you're going to talk about things or hit on major topics, how do you balance, or is it even in your mind, okay, we got to make sure this is commercial? Like, was that ever a thing that you were thinking of, or is that just the taste of your work?
It's just years and years of being on stage, understanding that there are really, really important things that we needed to talk about as Black people that we weren't, that was destroying us, that was tearing us apart. But also understanding how when it's wrapped in a joke, that's like anesthesia for surgery. So that was always the thing. Let me do these big, stupid, ridiculous, hella broad jokes and get into some really deep stuff that we need to talk about. And I think that anybody who is intellectual can watch it and go, oh, I see what he's doing here. It's not just this big, broad, ridiculous comedy. There's some things that need to be addressed. Yeah.
Yes, it's this very unique version of satire that I adore, and also allows us to really hit these personal messages. And I mean, people have talked about it, you know, since being introduced to you, where I seen In a Strange Loop. And then I had a really great conversation with Justin Simeon, the writer and director, where he had a conversation with you about the criticism that you receive, that they then as a creative start to actually look back at themselves and say, well, wait a minute, is it really Tyler that I should be mad that he is the face of this? Or should I be mad that we only get one face at a time? And it was really impactful when he told me that he called you, because I was like, yes, that's amazing.
No, I called that nigga, told him I was going to beat his ass. That's how it started.
Okay.
She wanted, But no. But the truth of the matter is this. When I think about somebody like him or somebody who has something to say, I'm like, great, you have your opinion. Listen, I live from this seat, tempered, measured, patient, prayerful, and disciplined. I'm always disciplined about everything. I step back, I count, I watch, I see which way I need to move. I don't rush into comments or doing anything. I'm patient with it. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was sad for him because I think he's really, really talented. And why can't you tell a story that doesn't have anything to do with what your disdain for what I do?
That's
because
right.
your disdain for what I do says more about you than me and the people that love what I do. Yeah. So you got to be careful when you start talking about Tyler's movies and shows of this, because you're talking about a whole bunch of millions of people around the world who don't just want to see a Spike Lee joint, but they can still sit back and laugh and relax and have a good time watching something like this. But I'm getting ready to mess them all up with 6 AAA.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I just love everything that you say because I feel the exact same way. Everybody deserves to be able to tell the stories from their vantage point. And as Black people, I think it's really important because we can't win for losing. Either it's too funny or it's too deep or it's too this, it's too that. And then it goes up against what we're all truly crying for, which is the opportunity to be diverse and to just be a creator and to tell the stories we want to say. And like you said, it does represent more about you. And I don't know if you got a chance to see the musical A Strange Loop, but that's what it came back to, because there was criticism in that show as well about this young Black writer who wants to be able to tell his stories. And they're bringing up Tyler, and then he comes back to the end and he admits exactly what you just said, where this is actually a representation of my personal disdain, the things that I don't want to see, the things that I don't want to face. And that's what art is supposed to do for us. So I love that you've never allowed that criticism to stop you from being able to have your authentic voice as an artist, because it does get really difficult.
Yeah, but what? No. You got to drown all of that out, because if you let somebody talk you out of a place that God has put you in, you are going to find yourself in hell. I know for a fact that what I'm doing is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, because for everyone who is a critic, I have thousands of used to be emails from people saying, this changed my life. Oh my God, you know me. Oh my God, you saw me. How did you know this about my life, my family? So that is what is important to me. We're talking a large portion of my fans who are disenfranchised, who cannot get in the Volvo and go to therapy on the weekend. So you've got this highbrow Negro who is all up in the air with his nose up looking at everything. And then you got people like where I come from and me who are grinders, who really know what it's like, whose mothers and were caregivers for white kids and were maids and housekeepers and all of these beauticians. That don't discount these people and say that their story don't matter. Who are you to be able to say which Black story is important or should be told? Get out of here with that bullshit.
Yes, and that is what we come up against. It's like you said, the respectability politics that we're always pushing up against, which at the end of the day, what we are facing and what we are oppressed against, it doesn't matter how well you speak, it doesn't matter how well you walk, it doesn't matter how well you do anything. If somebody's going to not like you, they're going to not like you, period. Right. So holding ourselves to these unbelievable standards that stop us from being able to tell our true stories and connect to one another, it only, like you said, puts us in a personal hell and doesn't allow us to really be all that we're meant to be, because we're too busy trying to fit into somebody else's idea.
Listen, what I always say is don't worry about being in somebody's box, because when you die, they're going to put you in one. So you may as well just live your life outside of a box.
Ooh, what's your favorite project you've done thus far? And I know that is a really difficult question to ask.
You know what? Somebody. I'm at a place right now where it's just what moves me, and it's usually the latest thing. Like Divorce in the Black is really, really great for what it is. Mea Culpa is great for what it is. Madea is great for what it is. But the thing that really moved me recently, that I enjoyed every day being on the set, were my last two films, which is Jazz Man's Blues and 688. So both of those films are where my passion is right now. So, but I love what Divorce in the Black is going to do, So I love playing in all the areas. But I think 688 hands down has to be the one I'm most proud of.
When it comes to the heavy hitting issues that you speak about, I know you say a lot of times that for you, creating was about escaping your trauma and, going into a fantasy world, but you still don't shy away from putting trauma and hardship in your work. How does that give relief? Because that could seem like a contradiction. If you've lived trauma and you experience that and you re-experience it in the work, how are you transmuting in that way?
But think about life. Like today we're happy and smiling and great, and then something happens. You got to get serious, and either divorce happens, pain happens, sickness you got to deal with. So I want my work to reflect the moments of real life. So we can't avoid trauma. We can't avoid hurt. The Bible says that you get a few days on this earth and they're full of trouble. So trouble is going to come. So my whole point in my life is I try to plan as much good as I can so that the good will outweigh the trouble when it comes. So no, I think it's very important to cover all of those dynamics and all of those areas, just as you do living life.
I remember I called you a couple years ago or something, and I think I was just calling asking how to create infrastructure for myself, how to be an owner of what it is I want to create, how to be an independent person that's building my own thing, and how to take something from the ground and build it up in the way that you have. And you said, Keke, I love whenever I can get a call from somebody like this. And this is something that I love to do and that I want to do. And so anybody that's listening to this, that you maybe can't be a mentor to in that way. You don't know them. They're not within arm's reach. What would you say to that young person like myself that's trying to figure out how to take things to the next stage, not just maintaining to be a work for hire, but how to really build an infrastructure for themselves that can go on without them?
Yeah. Well, I started with 30 people in the audience, right? 30 people and lost everything I had, ended up homeless. But I didn't let that stop me. It took me 7 years for that play to take off. So I think there's this instant gratification. I need it quick. It's supposed to happen now. Any flame you light too quickly will quickly die. So you've got to build it, a slow burn constantly, building that audience one person at a time. And that's exactly what I did. One city, one state at a time, building that audience. People are like, oh, I only have 2,000 followers. Keep building, keep building, keep building. Don't sell your soul. Don't sell yourself. Don't misuse anybody. Don't abuse anybody. When you go to bed at night, you can go to bed in a place of going, I did everything I could to honor this day and everybody around me, right? And so having the mentality of this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to honor this moment every chance I get, and I'm going to build it slowly is a blessing. Because I'm telling you again, every flame you light quickly will quickly die. Build it slowly, one person at a time. And you watch it happen. I mean, that's what happened for me. And I think that a lot of the people today have so many more advantages than I had 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because of social media and digital. You can build that thing. And I'm telling you, my audience is like, Maze and Frankie Beverly have not done an album since 1908. But the audience is still with them because of what it made them feel. And I think that there's going to be a shift where people want to feel good and feel supported and feel whole and made to be happy. And anybody who's dabbling and living and working in that space, they're really going to do well. I really believe that.
Oh my goodness. I thank you so much. I hate that I even have to let you go because I'll keep you forever. But this conversation has been amazing. I'm a fan and I've appreciated everything that you've done as a person and a human to me in my life, as a mentor, as a creative. You truly are amazing and just represent all the things that I truly want to be, honestly, from your philanthropy to the work and the community that you've created in this industry. Before I go, I always do a little game with my guests, and I want to do a game with you if you're down, okay? It's called Baby, This Is Mabel Earlene Simmons. And as you know, Mabel Simmons, better known as Madea, is a gun-toting elder, and she's created and played by you. I'm going to give you a plot to a Madea movie, and you are going to tell me which movie it is. The gag is, to commemorate your new thriller, Divorce in Black, the description I give you will be a bit more dramatic than you remember. Make sense?
Okay. All right. Let's see. Are you going to do it as Angela Bassett?
I absolutely will do it as Angela Bassett for you.
Okay, go.
After a high-speed car chase through Atlanta, the fiery and unyielding Madea finds herself incarcerated. Simultaneously, an assistant district attorney is handed a deeply personal case involving a young prostitute and former drug addict with a dangerous past. In a race against time, Madea and the lawyer must unite to confront their past and fight for justice, battling a corrupt system and a criminal underworld in this high-stakes thriller.
Is that Batman or Madea Goes to Jail? What are the other? Or what's love got to do with it?
It's
I don't want you no more. I don't want you no more.
I don't want you no more. It was absolutely Madea Goes to Jail. Okay. A Southern matriarch is thrust into chaos when she's forced to become the guardian of a rebellious teenager. As she plans an annual get-together, a sinister conspiracy emerges, putting everyone in grave danger. With time running out and enemies closing in, Madea must protect her family, whether it's by throwing shade, throwing grits, or throwing hands.
That's the movie you did, Medea's Family Reunion. That's Family Reunion.
Medea's Family Reunion.
Your hair looks so different now than it did in that movie.
Oh my gosh, do you know how many people come up to me and say, stop popping that gum? Literally, constantly. That's one of my most iconic roles in that movie. And I will never forget, for everybody listening, that was the first time that I have ever been in a movie. It introduced this for me in business, and I thank you so much for this, where whatever the movie did, you gave me extra money in the back end. And that's big. I think I really wanted to point that out because, you know, that's not something that people are always doing. And that was very early on in my career. I was no big name or anything like that. It was not necessarily something that was my birthright. But for that to happen in that movie and for it to have been such a success, that extra money, what it did for my family and how it allowed me to maintain my time in California, moving from Chicago. I mean, we had nothing. And for you to do that, you know, it was just really amazing. So I just wanted to mention that because I never forgot that.
That's wonderful.
Here's the last one.
Okay.
During a home invasion, Madea surprises 3 young siblings, plundering her home. Madea jumps into action, delivering the children to their last known relative, a troubled nightclub singer. Initially, the chanteuse is dismissive of the children, but her world is turned upside down when a Mexican immigrant rents a room in her basement, sparking a newfound sense of purpose and possibility.
I can do bad all by myself.
Woo!
That's Taraji.
Taraji. I mean, you are amazing. All I know is Madea Family Reunion can't be the only movie that I did with you, Mr. Perry. So we're going to have to figure something out.
I got something. As soon as it comes, I'm going to call you up.
Yes.
It's going to be worthy of all the work you've done.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot wait for that day. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
All right, my love. God bless you.
God bless you. Thanks for everything.
All right, love. I'll see you soon.
I just love Tyler because he gives us so much, not just in his films, but his insight into people and emotions, and as an entrepreneur. He really, really, really inspires me to think outside of the box, and I hope that the conversation we had today did the same for you. I'll see y'all next time because you know it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke